All right, let's jump into it. So I'm going to start off a little bit different. So as you sort of see with the vids that I do, the analysis I do, I always pretty much sort of leave copper and China to the end, just because they're not my main sort of trading things, but you can't go past copper at the moment. Like smashed through these price targets last night. You can see at this point here, sort of like this is a good example of sort of like little stop runs as it gets up there, and it just would have been ticking it all out. So this has been an absolute incredible run. And if you go back and watch all my videos all through this patch through here, and when we were first coming through this big breaking, falling resistance, I mean this is really just to sort of bring you up to speed with it all. But this was the big one that we were looking at. This big falling resistance that had been respecting since the highs back in March 22. So all the way down here, it jammed. I mean, everything you turned on to, everyone was saying, oh, it looks horrible. It's, copper's got no chance of it all. And I mean, even at one stage, people were trading this kind of triangle through here. And, if you look at this in this little patch just here, yeah, definitely. I mean, it broke, retested, came back down. But if you go back and watch all the videos that I've done sort of like, through October, November, December last year, this was a very frustrating time to sort of trade through this period here. And a lot of little fake out patches here, but really above 3,900 was the big point that we called as that first breakout. And as you can see, once it really took off from here, this is the break of the falling resistance. This is the first step to come through. We've got this nice little horizontal, which was incredibly, I mean, look at how many times. And this just goes to show that all the charts that I do, all the analysis I do, it's the same across all instruments. It's the same across all time frames. This is price action. This is price flow. And, I mean, you can see a perfect example for this here. Look, I'll just preface that by saying that different instruments move in different ways. They don't all, respect the same patterns and the same stuff. That's sort of like, there'll be different things that are obviously pushing them. But in terms of actually identifying what's happening with the buyers and the sellers, this is a perfect example because this is going back here sort of April, and we're sort of identifying this area and we're going, look, they tried to hold it. They tried on the top side. They tried to sell it down, sell it down, sell it down, sell it down. They got through, faked it one time, bang, smashed straight back down. How many times did they sort of respect this line through here? And this is why I like to keep all these lines on the previous charts and that, because it tells a story, and we can sort of look back and learn from it, and sort of see that sort of like it was held down, and if you look at my posts around the time, 39 above 39, which is further around here, or 39.4 or whatever it comes up to. Once we go past that, bang, broke out and just has not come back. And this has just been an absolute mammoth run. Even sort of like I took about 4 weeks off or so when I was going through Japan and Singapore, and it's sort of like, so I didn't have the daily analysis of it so much, but certainly since we've been coming back through here, this is the most recent period that we've been trading off. And look, we had this sort of like negative divergence as it came up to this top part here, pulled back through here, but you got to look again, sort of how does copper work? Copper, as I said a couple of times, it likes to do these little sort of fake out moves. If you look at my video, I think, well, this must have been 2nd or 3rd of May, I would have said, look, don't jump on your shorts too quickly around this area here, because one, we're coming back into this horizontal, and two, copper loves to do this. You've got a nice, you can see it probably a bit better on the 4 hour here. You've got this nice little support, bang, bang, bang. It was holding it a number of times and whoop, came down underneath. There's a lot of people that would sort of just be looking at this period here, broke through here. Okay, let's get short, and now they're just absolutely destroyed and smashed up. So, we sort of identified, we look, we had this nice little triangle. We had the break of the triangle, we had the back test of the top side of the triangle, and then subsequent higher high after the breakout candle. So this is your breakout candle here, back test, and then above the higher high, that is your full confirmation. And you can just see, and it's just run up here, smash through that price target, and absolute ripper of a trade. This copper, it has just been absolutely amazing. It's over 10,000 points from that initial sort of breakout area, or thereabouts. 10,000 points. Where did it hit up to last night? 49. Yeah, pretty much 10,000 points. 39.4 to 49.4. Absolutely incredible. So where to from here? Hard to sort of say at the moment because once you hit these price targets, I have a habit to sort of like go okay and so jump straight back into things, let things cool off a little bit. I think if we zoom back out and we look at the bigger picture for it all, look, it's still on an incredibly steep trajectory coming up here. Obviously, look, it's made the higher high. I see it's sort of sitting around here for a little bit. These are the areas, and this is the reason we put the price targets around here. We're getting up into these massive highs over here. Coming back into sort of April. Where we at? I saw somebody mentioning saying it's all-time highs. Geez, maybe it is. I mean, this is absolutely ripping through here. But look, this is why we had our price targets up around here. We've clipped that now. I would say, a couple of attempts to sort of go through. If you don't see a continuation coming through here, consolidation, maybe some cooling to come. We'll have to sort of wait and see. But yeah, I think for the moment, it's certainly proved itself. It's come up here. A lot of technical stops around here. That's where we got that fast move shooting up along there. I would say sort of like, it's not going to just go voo and sort of shoot back down like this. At worst, you're going to see some consolidation around this period as it sort of thinks and contemplates what it's going to do next. We've got US CPI coming out soon. That's going to weigh on all markets, and we're going to see flows across to copper and that from this as well. You've got the sort of, I don't know how much of the tariffs and all the stuff between the US and China, is that stuff going to play into it there as well? We're just going to have to sort of wait and see with that. But certainly this has been an unbelievable trade, and this is why I sort of put it on start of this analysis video here. So let's flip across to a couple of the other pieces that we're trading in that. So we'll cross back onto gold. If you've been following, sort of, I've been saying that, look, this pullback here was definitely going to be sort of somewhere that we could sort of buy. Sorry, this pullback, I forgot what time frame I'm on. This one through here. So we came back, as I say, we clipped of this one move. So this is the big breakout. So we were trading this area. We got the breakout consolidation, really tight, massive breakout. We did come into this falling resistance. So this one through here. And I was saying that, like, you know what I mean? I was thinking about shorting here. I didn't. Got up over here. I was still a bit hesitant. And look, honestly, I'm still a bit hesitant. Came back down here. 61%, bang, the top side of these, resistance points. So again, this is the same stuff. You look at it. We've got a resistance. We've got a support. And then you drag it up like this. And that very tip of this one here, tip of that one there, if you really want to go to the cent of it all. Like, these aren't exact sciences to the cent always. It's very nice when it does come to the cent. Makes you feel like you're really in tune with the market. But, these are the ideas that, this is the area. Look at how many times they defended this. They supported it. If you go, I keep referencing my old videos, but if we go back to 1980s, and I'm not talking the era 1980s, I'm talking the price levels of 1980s. Have I got it on this chart? Hopefully I've still got it mentioned on these ones. Jesus, flicking through a lot here. Yeah, so this is a prime example. 1980s. This is going back April 23. So what are we at now? May 24. This was the banking crisis, or the small bank, SVB, if you recall that one, when the regional banks were SVB was sort of like one of those sort of Silicon Valley banks, or Silicon Valley Bank, SVB, that's what it was. Anyway, 1980, super strong at level here. 1980, supported, got underneath it, resistance, boom, 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 came up here, tried to hold it. It's a bit scrappy through here, you can see, but it was a resistance. It was support, broke through. And you can see how many times after we had that massive push up, to come up to the top side up here. This was that really big spike high when we made 2150 the first time and came all the way down. 1980s, bang, that zone again. And this is what I'm saying. It's not to the cent. You can't expect to come down from 21, $300 or so, and then hit it to 1 cent. You got so many parts of the market, but this is the area. People zoned in on it, and that's where they bought it, and boom, we back up again. And the last big push, the last big sort of one, and this is why I love sort of documenting these videos, because you make the calls at the time. This is the area. Here's the arrow. Bang. This is where it's going to come down to. If you watch the video, we were up around here at the time and said, look, this is the area you're going to add your longs. That's the bottom all the way. Geez, you got to keep dragging to go all the way back up to the top over here. You know what I mean? Like that's the thing. You gotta look left. You gotta see where is the market priced these things previously, and there's a good chance that they're going to at least attempt to price it there again, given the opportunity. So we'll sort of see how that goes. So anyway, back to what we're doing now. We got this last breakout. This was the thing, and this is sorry, this was the relevance of this. If you look at this, 30s, 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 how many times they try to hold it up, broke through. How many times they hold it down? Came through, tested, failed. And this was the big breakout area. Yes, you got this little sort of like part that popped off through here, but this undernard through this little period here, and bang, it shot off. You move from 30 up to nearly 80, nearly $50 move, comes back down. Lo and behold, it's at 30s level again. You know, it's not sort of like voodoo. It's just look what the market's been doing. Look what the buyers have been doing. Look at what the sellers have been doing. Because there's a good chance that they're going to at least attempt to do that again. It may not hold always. Like, you may sort of see something sort of come back like this. Buyers try to do it, sellers overrun them, and they move down like this. That's always a possibility. But you've got a very high chance, at least the first time it comes through to these levels, that, you're going to see the people do the same stuff again. They're going to try and hold it in that position. Anyway, enough of sort of the lesson. A little bit more of the analysis of what we're doing right now. So we've got CPI coming out tonight. That's going to be a big mover. We're going to see sort of, expectation is a little bit of a tick up for US dollar. So that's a little bit of a tick up in inflation, which is bullish and strong for the US dollar, which is in theory most of the time, 90% of the time, inverse for metals. And of course, as I've said a number of times, they can run together, but generally they'll sort of run inverse to each other majority of the time. So with that in mind, and that the idea would be that when we saw this certainly through Monday, Tuesday sessions, that the market would firm up its positions a little bit with the US dollar. So we'd sort of see people sort of buying up the US dollar in anticipation for a higher CPI print, which then would cause the algos or the market or the talking to sort of be along the lines of, oh, well, no, we can't cut rates yet because, we have to still tackle inflation. And so, not necessarily hikes on the table. Powell was talking last night and saying he's not ruling out hikes, but I think that's a joke. I think sort of like really the idea that sort of like, we're going to see, sort of interest rates sort of staying higher for longer. I think that, and I've been saying this for the last couple of weeks, that the main topic of conversation for the US and for the Fed at least is to avoid recession. I think inflation takes a slight sort of backseat to it all. They're the two main topics in that because it's a balancing act with these things. You don't want to raise the rates and hold them high. And yes, we really got on top of inflation, but half the industry is just bankrupt and out of money, and the production's down, GDP's down, employment's through the roof, unemployment's through the roof. You know what I mean? So that's the counter argument for sort of like holding the rates high for longer, that you may sort of force a recession. So that's a balancing act there. But we saw PPI last night, and I'll get to DXY because that's the one that it really affects. And our PPI is the producer price index. So basically, we got CPI tonight, which is the consumer price index. So how much money is sort of how much inflation is coming through to the consumer, sort of you and I, sort of when we're buying stuff. PPI is the producer price index. So how much does it cost the producers to get the materials to make the products that they sell on to us? So in theory, if they're paying more, their prices are up, they've got to charge more for us. Well, that's one step away from sort of CPI going up, and we saw DXY absolutely fly off because the number was hot. It was revised to 0.1. This is the month-on-month PPI revised to 0.1%, expected to tick up to 0.3. Sorry, revised to negative 0.1%, expected to tick up to 0.3, came in at 0.5, so above expectation. Core PPI, 0.2 expectation, 0.5 as well. So again, above expectation. And we saw DXY move. I'll flip across the DXY very quickly so you can see, and we'll get back to gold in a sec. You can see on a low time frame how quickly the market reacted to this. This is the the release of the news here. Bang, through the roof, because it's, as I said, high inflation. That's a good chance for um, a good chance for sorry, good argument for rates not to come down so quickly. Rates higher for longer, maybe even hikes. Excuse me. And when you look at it in purely just in PPI, CPI kind of um, respects, well, that's what happens. But the market, doesn't just move off one bit of news. They see this and they think that's great, bang, and they sold straight into it. This is a 5 minute chart. So within 10 minutes of this data coming out, it had already taken out the lows. It thought about it down here on this little level that we've sort of marked out. I mean, this isn't, voodoo. We don't just sort of pick numbers randomly. This is a level, and the market thought about here, bang, broke down. Where did it come to? D1 supports. This is the thing. This is the level. We know that there's a good chance that we're going to see some reaction here. And look at how many times it held at this level here. So I'll get to DXY in a moment, but that's just a little bit of a sort of understanding about sort of what's going on with that. Okay, so point being is that we've got CPI tonight. The expectation is move to the top side with print. So there is a chance that if the number's hot, so a high print, that supports the argument for sort of holding rates high for longer. US dollar firms up, we see the same price action as last night. The market just goes, well, that's all very well, but you know what? The ball's rolling, and um, we're going to see rate cuts sooner rather than later, even if it means that sort of inflation ticks up a little bit. This is provided that the number comes in hot and only marginally hot. If we blow it out of the roof with a really hot number, like if inflation jumps right up, well, that's a slightly different story. But I'd say if it comes in sort of only partially hotter, I think we would possibly see the same price action as we saw last night, whereas the algos get tripped, people sort of react, goes up, and then just gets hammered into. That will sort of give this same reaction here. You can see what happened to gold through this period. Bang, drop down here to 23.30. Woof, and look at the return afterwards. Coming up to the top side there. So that's one to sort of watch out for. I would say sort of through this Asia session, at least today, definitely probably Asia and maybe even sort of Euro session, won't expect a great deal. I don't think we're going to be getting any major breakouts at this point. I think it's just sort of like pretty much just wait and sort of see what happens tonight. I mean, if we get a move above those overnight highs, so what's that above, say, just call it 60. And if we get a move above 60, you're looking, 63, 69, 75, I could see it maybe sort of slowly grinding up along here. Like sort of if we break here, maybe a back test, and then sort of like, this kind of garbagey stuff summing through this. I don't imagine much. I think, look, I mean, obviously it's coming back here. It looks like it wants to come up and retest 73. 73 is the one that you want to watch for, though, because 73, that was the breakout highs. That is a breakout candle. We got above that falling resistance, second time above the falling resistance, above the sort of breakout candle. Then we're starting to look at these big levels that we've marked out. The weekly body fill, which is at 92. We got the sort of big resistance at sort of 2400, 2400 and change. They're the big targets above that. And then, if the number, and that's I only said to talk about if the number comes in a little bit light. If the number comes in a little bit hot, sorry, if the number comes in cool, if you see inflation down, I don't think that'll happen. But the market is technically pricing for a slight increase. If you see inflation come down, US dollar is going to dump. They are going to absolutely run from that because, as I said, the two things they're balancing at the moment are the inflation and the recession. And if you don't have to worry about inflation, as in it's coming down, the level is right now, it's coming down, they consider that one beat. And you know what? Bang, the only thing to really tackle is to avoid recession. And if you're going to avoid recession, what do? You lower rates, you stimulate the economy, people borrow more, they hire more, they push production. So it means sort of rates come down. And if rates come down, we know that's a sort of a very weak and death of a sort of a currency. Well, not death of a currency, but you know what I mean. It's the thing that's going to drive it to come down. We're going to see US dollar dump. We're going to see Aussie through 67 cents. We're going to see gold pushing through, probably making all new time highs. And that 2,500 is the big price target that I've got sort of floating up the top along here, based on loosely on that sort of little bit of a sort of Elliott wave thing from the weekend, if you want to sort of go back and sort of see my breakdown of that. But yes, look, these are all sort of forethought things and the things to consider for tonight. I would say the levels to beat at the moment are 75. Then we're going up around the sort of 90s. If if we break here, which I don't think we will, this is 90 is the level that we're looking for now. But I think we've pretty much just got to wait till a bit of news sort of comes through. We're sort of seeing DXY sort of come online now, small little gap up. It's closed the gap. We'll see sort of what it does from there. All right, so speaking of DXY, let's flip onto it. I touched on this briefly just before, so I won't go into it too much. But as you can see, market has been trying to sort of firm things up. We have had this, if we get back onto the bigger time frame, this is what I was saying from the weekend. This is the thing that I'm sort of really watching. The fact that you had this, strong support on a daily time frame, so higher the time frame, the better. It broke it, it came up here, retested. Now we're coming back down for the lower lows. Yeah, I mean this is technically a lower level through here. Lower close, sorry, only a couple of points, so it's not really something to talk about. But as I said, this is the thing. We've got the break here, retest. This is your breakout candle. Break the breakout candle and close and move down here. We could see a big move like this down through here. This kind of candle. This is potentially what we're looking for at the moment. Bang. Something to come like through like this. It's just on this time frame. This is a potential for what's going to happen through here, particularly if we get that sort of cool CPI print. And as I said, potentially, even if it comes in sort of marginally close, this is also what we're looking for. What I've been saying for the last couple of weeks that 104 is my next sort of target, sort of fill these bodies over here. So, where we put this one across over here, this kind of level through here. This will be the body fill of this big move coming up over here. This was, I think, CPI driver as well last time. So, there's definitely a good case for this sort of to potentially going bang and slamming down with high volume, which is these large candles, because, you've given it, they've tried to reclaim it, rejected, bang, this is the next move down here. Then from there, what we do, we find support, moves up, comes down, tests the lows, boom, and on we go, moving to the downside. These kind of moves, as you can see, like this, boom, 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 lower lows. That's new trend, bang, coming down here. US dollar sell-off, that's in mode. Aussie flipping across. We've seen Aussie really sort of charging along here. It's just, if you look at every other time that Aussie's come up into these levels, put on this other chart. If you look at how many times it's tested this area here, sells here, sells here, sells here, Aussie sort of like, the other times it's come through these areas here, it tried a couple of times through here, admittedly, but then sort of like, once it did give it up, this last attempt dropped 127 points. This attempt came down here. This dropped 150 points. This attempt, 256 points. They're big rejections from this area. You know what I mean? This time, what do? We came back. This one, we came from the highs down to here, 90. So obviously you can see it's a smaller reaction coming down each time here. And we're pushing back up into it, pushing back up into it. Let me get this one out of the way. We're almost sort of seeing a bit of a ascending triangle with this area coming through here. I'll clean this up a little bit. This one onto you can see this almost sort of setting up for a bit of an ascending triangle through here. So if you were to sort of say that, look, it's like this, this. this little area through here. Not a perfect sort of ascending triangle. I mean, this is on the daily through here, but certainly you're seeing it push up through here, pull down, up, down. Like this is two attempts to sort of push it back from this level here. As I've just shown 2 seconds ago, these ones are considerably shorter and shallower than these pullbacks here recently. So this is coiling underneath the top over here. Again, we're looking for the driver tonight, so could it just be the sort of CPI? It could be. We'll see what happens. But certainly this is poised and ready to sort of shoot up to the top side. This isn't to say that, I mean, look, it's still near the overbought area. It's not to sort of say that it can't just fail. And as I said, look, there's a possibility that the number goes through the roof. They get a massive tick up of inflation, and then that changes the story, and they're like, okay, well, recession or not, and shit, we still can't allow this to get out of hand. This is if it comes in for a big beat, like a very hot number to the top side. If you see that happen, then you're going to see this bang, it's going to shoot back down. Like that's the reality of it. But as it is at this point in time, we're coming up into this very strong, with support, resistance. It's been resistance a number of times through here. Very strong sort of area of resistance. It's coiling underneath. It's primed and ready to go up. If it does go up, 66, 60, like this wick over here, 68 and change, whatever. That's your sort of your breakout candle, well, your confirmation candle. You go above this high here where we've got the alarm set up there, the alert, and bang, we go up to the top. Where are we going to look? We're going to look into this area up over here, around those early 67s. This is not necessarily a full top. It's not necessarily, it's not even necessarily going to come up to that. We may sort of hit the wicks over here, but you've got a chance, you've got a possibility that, the market on strong data, well, sort of, strong in the sense of it's going to get Aussie to move quite strong in that and weak for US dollar. If you get that right scenario, there's a good chance that you see some reaction here. So it could sort of pop up here, sort of go all the way through here, could sort of drop down here. And then you got to watch, see how deep this pullback comes. If this pullback comes all the way back down here, well, that's pretty much probably it for that. And, then you got to work out what to do with that. If you get a shallow pullback here and it attempts it again, that means that was just a little bit of profit taking, and there's a good chance that you go through. This is over, it's not going to happen in sort of 5 minutes, but, these are the kind of things to sort of plan out and think for. And then, of course, if you're looking through there, you're looking at these sort of highs, yearly highs back over here. So certainly, Aussie at the moment is coiled. It's looking ready, like it wants to go. It does love doing these fake out moves. And, there's a good chance it pops out here and stops the people over here and then falls over here as well. Look, anything's a possibility, but at the moment, you can only call what you can see in front of you. And given the possible outcomes of the news that's coming up today, well, they're the potential outlooks that we're looking for Aussie moving into it. Quickly, I'll finish off with China. And as we see, China just keeps on grinding back up. It really is. I mean, look at this dump down here. We thought sort of like, there's a couple of times I thought this level, no, and it just keeps on grinding through. We are seeing a little bit of a hesitation up. You can see this one, this is on the daily. This last candle here this is a spinning top. It's called. Basically, it's a doji, it's an indecision. They tried to sell it down, they bought it back up. They tried to buy it up, they sold it back down. Market's just a bit like, okay, what are we actually going to do from here? We're back up into, pushing back up into this previous zone. So this bounce has been absolutely mammoth. I mean, if you look at this, we're almost up to the 78% with this bounce. So the market certainly isn't sort of thinking, okay, yeah, we're going to dumb it down. We got this sort of tariff news with the US and China. Could be playing into it a little bit. But certainly, as you can see, supported. Once this let go, bang, hammered down here. But, coming back up to the top side over here is making you sort of start to think that, okay, we're not quite coming down to these major levels, major breakout levels of the sort of 713 so quickly. There's a lot of work for this to do here. We kind of have a look at these previous ones where it's broken down. See, it's broken down, it's just gone. Yes, it's worked, it's all way back up over here. But, certainly, you want the shallow pullback to have a better idea of a continuation. You can see it came to the 61.8 and it sold down here briefly, but then obviously, boom, powered through again. So, Yeah, it'd be interesting to sort of see where we go here. You probably want to take out 723 really to confirm a little bit of a pull down back this way. But there's the fact that it's almost up to the 78 is yeah, showing that it really is just a bit of all over the shop at the moment. I think sort of what I'd probably be looking for is, as I said, below this daily candle through here, underneath this 723 to say, okay, we're coming back down. But even if we do come back down, we know that the buyers are happy to buy it here. So this is where they'll be happy to buy it again, even if you do get down. So you really want to get back down under here. Like we put this little red line the other day, we're saying, look, this is where we want to get under to sort of see that we're going to see a push back down to these levels. But certainly at the moment, it is just powering on. And I said, look, maybe consolidate through this area. And obviously, it's just come out the top side there. So yeah, it's a bit hard to call this one. I do still think we're on the move to generally being down. I think this is a bit. I mean, the fact that this gave way, I don't think this is going to be a big sort of fake out and then hey, we're ripping up to the top. I think the move is too significant. I think they've just come back up here and stopped out too many people that didn't take profit through these moves. So I do think we're coming along here, but I do think it'll be more of whoop, um, something to more of this sort of effect, and we'll back into a grind, and then maybe down here. But we'll have to sort of wait and see how that one plays out and trade it accordingly. All right, that's about it from me.